but I was out for like 2 weeks. So what Mary is teaching you guys right now, that's the foundation of, you know, what you're supposed to learn and stuff. So the fact that I missed that in class, I felt like it kind of held me back just a little bit, because I had missed that hands-on learning to where I was kind of teaching myself, which is kind of what she talked about, where you have to learn online. That was really, really hard for me to play catch up a little bit. But I did. I even thought about taking theory twice over again, but I'm a go-getter, and I was like, I can do this, I can teach myself, I'm gonna do this. And so I went on to the next speed, and that's where it kind of got weird. And it got weird because as you progress in speed, so say y'all all start a class together, y'all will not finish a class together, okay? And so that was the kind of weird thing, because I had made all these friends, connections, and it's just human nature to want to be at the same level as everybody. And same level meaning that people are gonna move up and you may stay here. And then you'll move up and you'll be at the same level. And that's just kind of how it works. So I had some friends that, you know, they just flew at the very beginning. And when I was working the 3 jobs at the very beginning and they were practicing for 8 hours, I was practicing, you know, what I could. And I'll tell you a lesson that I learned later on. But they flew a little bit, and then I caught up to them. And it was really great. And so I stayed there for a little bit, and then when I got in my 180s, I got stuck. And we as court reporters don't really like to use the word stuck, but I had just kind of lost my motivation, my passion, because as Mary said, you fail a lot. And failing means in court reporting, not progressing to the next speed. That's really what she's talking about. And so it can be defeating, you know, if you're in a speed for too long, and that's kind of where I was. And so, and I'm a really positive person. So for me to be a little bit down about this was like so out of the blue. And so I went to the hallway, and I told one of my friends, I said, you know, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm cut out for this. She said, what do you mean? You wanted to do this since you were 10 years old, and there are so many people that couldn't get to where you are in your 180s. And I just had something, like, I had chills just come over me. And I was like, you know what? She's right. Who can get to their 180s on this machine where I had to learn this foreign language? And so she was so right. And so I just made a commitment to myself then, whatever I'm doing right now is not working. Okay, and I have to shake things up. So I did what Mary did, and I started listening to all these positive speakers. I would start my day with listening to motivational things, because when you start your morning, that the best thing to do is to start it with some positivity. If you wake up and you say, oh, if I pass, I pass, if I don't, I don't, to me, that's not a good way to start your morning. To me, it's, I know I can do this, I believe in myself. And so that's really how I like to start my morning. And when I got in my 200s, 225s, which we call those exit speeds, I decided to take it a little step further. And so what I had noticed was that a lot of us students in the school were not progressing. We were not going to take the state test, and they hadn't sent a big group in a long time. So I said, you know what? And I was great friends with the dean of the department, and I said, is it okay if we all come up here and we practice at 6:30 in the morning? We practice from 6:30 till 8-ish when practice starts. And she said yes. And so I got a group of like 30 of us, and we got there, and I started it off with motivational songs, and then I would read something motivational real short, and then we would practice together as a group, right? We sent 10 students to the state test, which hadn't been done in like for a long time. That's a lot of students to send to the state test at one time. But it was weird because working together for that common goal, pushing ourselves together was a really cool thing to see, and it really showed us all that we could do it, but that we just needed to change whatever it was that we were doing. And so that really became evident to me through that. And so one of my friends, she qualified to take the state test, and I hadn't qualified yet. I was kind of disappointed in myself because I missed it by just a few points. And you know, they have a cutoff date where you have to qualify 45 days before the test. I missed it by just a few points, and so once again, I'm a person that I'm all about self-reflection, and that's what court reporting is, because the only person who can control how you write on that machine and your success is you. And so I went back and I reflected on myself, and that's when somebody introduced something to me called SMART goals. And SMART goals are great. Have any of you ever heard of SMART goals? You have? They're really interesting, and I have a worksheet that I can send y'all if you haven't ever heard about it. And after this, I would be happy to, I know y'all aren't exactly in theory yet, but if you're thinking about entering theory, I would love to set some goals with you through these SMART goals. And why SMART goals are good is because I knew from 10 years old I want to be a court reporter, okay? And that, you know, that's a dream. I want to be a court reporter. A goal is when you put a time on it. A goal is when you add a number to it. So say for instance, I was in my 225s and I said I want to pass a 225 with 40 errors by March 11th, okay? And so that date was in my head, that number was in my head. So that's what I did in my 225s, and I would work that number lower and lower. I would always start a little bit over what you would need to pass, so it was still a fail, not passing, but then I would work that number down. And that was so important to me too, because like she talks about family and the support that you will need, you can imagine that going through this program that you will have people and they'll say, when are you going to finish? And guess what, people, this is not an engineering degree. You do not know that you're going to finish in May 16th 2017 or 18. You know, you do not know when you're going to finish. It's all really up to you. There's no I guess curriculum that you have to do X, Y, and Z with a certain date period. Does that make sense to y'all? Okay, so I had a lot of people that would ask me, when are you going to finish? And before I started doing these SMART goals, I would just say, when I finish, quit asking me. But when I had these SMART goals, what I would do was I would say, I just did this, and I would just lay out my accomplishment in front of them. And maybe they didn't know what it meant, but it meant I showed that I was making progress. And that was, my mom always got it. She's my biggest fan. She always understood. But my grandparents, they did not understand for the longest time. And my mom today is still my biggest advocate. I have a court reporting YouTube channel, and my mom and I did some videos on there where my mom was talking to other moms, and my mom was just laying it all out there to show how supportive she was of me and the kind of support system that you do need through school. So I ended up passing my last court reporting test with only 5 errors, which was like awesome to me. I thought it was so great, and it's because I kept working down, down, down. I always had a goal with that number attached. And so I qualified for the state test, and I had an older machine because I bought it from that lady who owned the court reporting firm, and she had used it maybe 10 years before I bought it from her. And then, so you have to imagine, it took me 4 years to get through school, so it was a 14-year-old machine. So I'm getting ready for the state test, and my whole machine just crashed. I mean, this is the week of the test, and there was a guy in Houston. He replaced my whole motherboard on my machine. I get to the test, it freezes up, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I walk out, I'm hysterical to my mom, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened. But there's nothing I could do about it, okay? There was nothing I could do about it. So my mom just said, you know, we'll figure it out. And so I ended up getting a new machine in that process, which turned out to be a really great situation. But what I took away from that test, seeing so many people huddled outside, and myself too, in hysterics, because, you know, I realized that there were so many people that were in my same situation that I hadn't really realized before. This field, while you're studying it, it can feel defeating at times, because you spend a lot of time on your machine by yourself at home and different things. And so what I went home and I did was I created a court reporting support group on Facebook, and it quickly grew to like 3,000 members, students that were just like me, who had maybe gone and they didn't pass, or they were struggling with the speed, and we would just daily go back and forth with motivation, and it was something that was really cool. A lot of us were preparing to take the state tests together too. So that happened, and I was finished with school though at this time, okay? I was finished with school, and I didn't have to go back. So while I was waiting, I was living with my aunt, and it was Christmas break. And what I learned during that period, when I had to practice on my own at home with no teacher, was that, or no teacher dictating to me, I should say, is that 1 to 2 hours, even 20 minutes to 30 minutes of focused practice is better than 4 to 6 hours of your, who texted me, and you're like on your phone, and then you go back, and then you're, oh, I mean, seriously, that's what I learned during that period, because I only had this amount of time to practice. And you know, my friends, we had to turn in this practice log at one time, and their practice logs were this long, and mine was always this. But I knew that when I finished practicing, that I left it all in my machine. I laid out everything on the table, and I practiced as hard as I could. And people have different methods of doing things, and I will say that, and I want you to remember that I told you that, okay? Because when I was in school, everybody told me practice really, really fast stuff, and you'll get faster, and that wasn't true for me. It was true that I had to practice above my target speed to gain speed. But when you're practicing 40 to 60 words over your target speed, you're trashing your notes. And what you're learning right here, this theory, you're training your fingers to read things that you can write. And if you're trying to write super, super, super fast, and you're just throwing your hands down, you're not going to be able to read what you're writing. Am I right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so you just, that's a little piece of advice that I will give you. You don't want to trash your notes, but also remember that everybody has different ways of doing things. And you can invent your own way of doing things. One of my best friends, she is a court reporter in Austin, and she competes in the Speed Cup nationally, and she placed 5th. She's amazing. And what she taught me, one of the coolest things, and I'm not telling you this so you can do it because you know you're learning, but what she taught me was when you have two numbers, like say the number is 6, or one number, say the number is 65, okay? She taught me to, since 5 comes before 6, you would have to hit the 6 and then the 5. She taught me to do it with the asterisk, and she programmed all of these in her dictionary that they're that way, and that's something that we never learned. And I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever learned, because I will never two-stroke these numbers again if I don't have to. Why would you? And so that was something that was really cool for me. So anyway, so I went to the state test and I felt really good about it, but you never know. It takes a little bit to find out if you passed. And so my mom and I were just kind of on a high, and we were just so glad that I felt a little bit good about it. And so we went up to Dallas, and that's 5-ish hours from my hometown, and somehow it had snowed that weekend. There was like black ice or something on the road. Somehow in the shuffle we were trying to get out of there, I lost my candidate number. which is important because you have to have your candidate number when they upload who passed on the state test. And so everybody's posting on Facebook. They announced it, and you never know when they're going to do it. And so they announced who passed the state test. And my mom is like, well, did you pass? And so I said, well, let me look for my number. Couldn't find my number anywhere. And I worked at a court reporting firm at this time as I worked in the production. And so I thought, well, maybe I left it up there. So my boss was going to let me in at 9 o'clock at night. But anyway, there was a way we figured it out where it had school statistics. Well, remember how I told you we had that practice group together? So I went to Alvin Community College, and it said Alvin Community College, pass, fail. And I think it said 7 out of 7. So we all passed. So my mom jumps up, it's her birthday. And my mom jumps up, breaks her toe, because we are just so excited at this point. This is my 5-year anniversary of court reporting, like 2 weeks ago. And she reminds me of this. She's like, remember when I broke my toe? Yes, I remember. That was like one of the best days of my life that I remember. And so I passed, and I immediately started working at a freelance deposition firm for that lady that I told you about. And luckily I had worked in the production room before because I kind of knew how they wanted things, okay? So every freelance firm that you work for, they're gonna want things a little bit differently as far as like order forms and things like that. And this isn't anything you have to worry about right now. Don't worry about it. But I was lucky that I knew a lot going into it. And so I was the baby. Like, I was the baby going into there. There was nobody even 25 years close to me when I started working there. And so they said, we're gonna send her on all these jobs that we don't want to take. And so I just like embraced it, and I was like, okay, whatever. So they sent me on what they thought were bad jobs, but I thought that they were like amazing jobs. So one, I will tell you, I did federal grand jury. So if you know what grand jury is, they hear indictments before they even are on the news. So I remember one time we were hearing this murder case with, I don't even remember what it was, but it was a very high profile case. And I got escorted out of the building by the FBI and Homeland Security. It was, I mean, this is work that nobody wanted to take. Remember that. Nobody wanted to do this. And so I loved it. And we were in this like secret vault on the 3rd floor. Nobody knew where it was unless you were on that case, right? And so that was really cool to me. And but you have to imagine, I'm with FBI, Homeland Security, and these two can tell you I don't have a whole lot of balance, okay? And I'm just klutzy sometimes. And so I tripped over my bag and boom, 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 fall. And this guy from the FBI, he just picks me up. And so anyway, I had to go back the next day. He's like, I hope you recovered. But we were laughing. So the next day I go in, and my brother's father-in-law is the head guy for the IRS, and he was one of our people that was on the case the next day. It was crazy. So that's one of the things that I did with freelance. But I'll tell you, everything kind of connected for me right then. So all these things that people didn't want to do. So I finished that, and then they said, we're going to send you to a school board hearing. I was terrified. You know, there's like 15 people up there. And so I had to get speaker IDs for all of these. You have to identify who's talking. So I had to get speaker IDs for all 15 of these people, which, let me tell you, this is where it gets funny. When I did the grand jury work, we had just indicted this school board. And so then I go to their school board hearing, and I hear them, and they're like, the FBI was outside of my house today, and I'm like, mm-hmm. And I'm just sitting there, because I know, but you can't say anything, right? And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I just felt like I was on the best TV show ever. And so then our county had to appoint a civil grand jury to hear the school board stuff because we had too many cases going on within that. And so I got appointed to the civil grand jury too. So I mean, I was getting it from every single angle, and I just loved it. And also I worked a lot in the Houston high-rises. That was really cool to me. But I also worked in like people's houses sometimes. And, you know, I had like a cat crawl in my lap during the middle of a depot, doctor's offices, at the psych ward, you name it. They sent me everywhere, and they, go ahead.
Why would you go to that house?
Okay, so I don't really know the answer to that question, really. I'm thinking the times I went to people's houses, it was because they were elderly and they couldn't really get to where.
More invalid.
Yeah, so I would go to their houses and the attorneys would meet me there. But there was one really sketchy house, and I called my firm, because that's what you do. If you feel uncomfortable, you call who you're working for and you say there's a problem. And so I called, and they said, well, we'll alert the attorney and they will walk in with you. So that's what I did, and the attorney walked me in, no big deal, but it made it a lot easier on me than just walking into somebody random's house by myself, you know. And that's something that you'll have to remember, that you will get sent to people's houses sometimes if you're doing a freelance. So have extension cords and things like that, nothing to worry about right now. I'm just telling you, you never know really what's going to happen. I got sent to an older building, and they had the two-pronged adapters for the plugs, which I haven't seen in like ages, but they had only the two-pronged, and I had my stuff was three-pronged, so I had to run to the hardware store and then go back. So stuff like that happens all the time, but I had a great time freelancing. It took me to some incredible places. I documented my whole journey through pictures, like thousands of pictures. I have so many conference room tables, because you never want to forget stuff like that. I mean, those were just some of the best days. And so, but during that time, they reached out to me. I became a proctor for the state test. And so I did that for a few years. And I was, this was probably a year after I passed, but there was only like 5 of us. So they were kind of putting me in a position to take over proctoring the state tests for the future students. So maybe like y'all. I do not do it anymore, but it was so nice to see so many people at that state test. And so then I just decided, I was at that age where I was going to be kicked off my parents' health insurance, and I really needed some health insurance and stuff like that. So I just kind of made a mission to land an officialship. I really wanted an officialship. I was not married, and I knew that I had to do something if I wanted insurance, right? And so I just put it out there. Just put it out there on social media, on one of the court reporting pages, that said, I'm looking for an officialship. And they're really hard to find sometimes, depending on where you are, especially being from a really small town where they may have 2 courts, right? And so people started tagging me on jobs, and they were tagging me on jobs. And so what I did, which was crazy, I traveled Texas for like 6 months, and I would try out for this job, and I landed in Athens, Texas, which is kind of on the way to Dallas. And I was in a trial that night. It was like 8 p.m. We didn't have a verdict yet. And so we go out, and I had come to San Antonio and tried out for a job, right? And they said, we'll let you know. And so I'm in a trial over there, it's 8 o'clock, and I get a call from San Antonio, right? While I'm in the middle of this trial. So we wrap up things with that court. The judge there offers me the job. I say, hold on, I have to call San Antonio back. Somebody from San Antonio called me. They said, hey, do you want the job in San Antonio? Of course. Who wouldn't want to live here? And so, you know, that's kind of how I ended up here. And right now I'm a juvenile criminal court reporter. I work with kids ages 12 to 17. And they're not much younger than me, some of them. But I do that, and I also taught for a long time court reporting school online. I taught for Simply Steno, which is, it's not, it's a speed building program. That's the best way to describe it. It's a speed building program, so they will not teach you theory in Simply Steno. So I would dictate to students online to help them gain speed. And actually, we had come to speak at SAC one time, and we got some interest in, and we did some event, and we got some interest from the high-speed students to kind of do what I was telling you all at the beginning that I did with that group of people. And so Jessica was actually one of the students, and they would come to my apartment and I would dictate to them. Me and another woman, we would dictate to them. And Jessica can tell you, I did not take it easy on her at all. And they didn't want me to take it easy on them. And so,
faster, please.
Yes, can you please go faster? But it was so cool because that little group of students that we had at my apartment, I would say that they progressed faster than anyone.
3 out of 4 are now certified.
Yeah, and it's because they, you know, they're great core reporters, they were great core reporting students, and they just took it up a notch. They just practiced a little bit more, did some stuff that was harder, and knew that they needed to make a change to get to where they needed to be, and they did, and that was so awesome to watch. And now Jessica is a core reporter. Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything? Do y'all know? For me, I have had a lot of ups and downs with different things in my life, as I'm sure a lot of you have. This was not always an easy thing for me. I know during school I had $5 in my bank account, and if you ever follow me on Facebook, you'll see I've posted it on there like a million times to remind myself of where I was and where I wanted to be. And I just bought my first home this year, and I just feel so fortunate for this career. Again, you know, have wanted to do this since I was 10 years old. I didn't know the places that it would take me. I didn't know the opportunities that would come my way, but like I was telling y'all, I had so many different things that happened that I'll just never forget them. I taught a guy an Alzheimer patient, how to write his name at the psych ward, and it was so cool. He was sitting down with me, and I taught him how to write his name. I went to a federal prison in Beaumont and took this guy from San Antonio and I hadn't lived here yet, who had embezzled, I think, $300 million. And he was just naming off everything that he owned, which was a lot of stuff. It was a lot of stuff. Just some very, very unique cases. There was a slam website for ex-boyfriends who were posting about their girlfriends. It was a GoDaddy website somebody created, and I had some friends that were on that website, and so I had to dismiss myself from that case because it was a conflict of interest. And I guess I'll close it with this funny story that I'll never forget it. So I'm at this depot, right? And there was a guy, and his name was similar to John Smith. It was just one of those names, and sorry if your name's John Smith, sorry. But it was one of those names that it's just very common. And so I looked at the notice, which they'll send you the night before, and I looked at it and I was like, that's weird. But I didn't think anything of it, okay? So I get to the depot, and you have to remember, I haven't lived in my hometown in 4 years, okay? 4 years. And so, and I think I had been reporting at this time, maybe like 4 months. So I get there, and our witness was a guy I went to high school with, right? And so I call my firm, because that's what I told y'all I did. If I didn't know the answer, I didn't just act like I knew. I would always call. So I called, I said, what do I do? And they said, well, let the attorneys know. So I told them ahead of time, I said, I just want to let y'all know I went to high school with him, and is it okay if I still take this deposition, or do you need someone else to come and take the deposition? I said, no, that's fine. You can take it. It's fine. But they hadn't talked to their client about it, okay? They were just talking to me about that they were okay with it. So they didn't understand that we really knew each other, okay? through sports and different things. And so we're sitting there, and some depositions are videotaped, just like this. They're videotaped. And so this is what's going to be shown to a jury a lot of times. So we're sitting there, and the attorney is asking the witness, the guy I knew, questions, and he turns to me and he looks at me, then he looks back at me. Kenzie Benoit, is that you? Wow, you're so hot. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm about to fall over on the ground. I cannot believe this is gonna be a video in front of a jury. I don't know what to do. And so, oh yeah. So that was and I'm writing, Kenzie Benoit, you were so hot. And I'm feeling really good about myself, right? And I'm like, I don't even know what to do. So we take a break and I go to the bathroom. He follows me to the bathroom. And he's following me. He's like, remember when you got mad at me because I was making jokes about how LSU was going to lose to Alabama? I was like, yeah. And we're just like going back and forth, like, because that's what we did back in the day. We went back and forth about sports, but we never like really hung out. You know what I'm saying? It was just like we talked about sports. That's the kind of friends we were. But we get back on the record, and I thought he was going to drop it because he had just told me everything at the bathroom about this. He's like, man, guys, we used to go back and forth about sports all the time. And he's just going on and on and on. And I'm just like, and we have our next break, and I said, Anthony, that was his name, if you do not quit saying stuff like you are, I'm going to have to call another reporter to come here, and you're going to have to wait for another reporter to get here, which could take a few hours, and you're gonna waste your whole day. Just quit talking to me, please. And so, I mean, everything went pretty smooth after that, but that was like a moment that I thought would never happen to me, but you will. If you're in a small town like I was, then you may run into people that you know, and it's your obligation to tell people if you know somebody that's there. But do y'all have any questions for me?
You mentioned these Facebook groups. I find them like, I'm a hygienist, and I go to different Facebook groups, and it's interesting how you'll get answers to commonly asked questions that like you feel. Which Facebook groups are you talking about, and is this something that we can look up if we're considering going?
Yeah, I can definitely write them
on the board and I can take a picture of it.
Yeah. Okay. Y'all, I'm in court reporter, so I have horrible handwriting, so.
Y'all can always take a snapshot of what Ms. Woodard put up here, just with your phone, so you don't have to write it down. And Kenzie will do that. Kenzie's a lot like me, or I should say I'm a lot like Kenzie.
So, Kenzie, you said it took you 4 years, you went to school for 4 years?
Yes.
Which is a little bit.
Average amount of time it takes to get to school.
What? And that.
I know it.
It actually could take you 6 years. It could take you 2.
So why did it?
Take 2.5.
For me, I worked
She
three
had 3
jobs
jobs.
through school.
Okay.
So, I mean.
Thank you.
And I was
Because
17 years old. So let me tell you what I was concerned about, what my friends are doing. I mean, you have to think, I had no, like some people that I went to school with, they had kids, a family that were depending on them. I didn't have any of that. And and so it took my mom really sitting me down one day to tell me, wow, you need to take this seriously. Not that I was joking about it, but that I was just 17 years old. I mean, that's what seniors in high school are, And so, it did take me a little bit longer than some other people, but also like Sarah, who was supposed to speak to you guys tonight, she is one of the ones that used to practice this is supposed to say encouraging court reporting students and guardians of the record. Sorry, I don't write legible. But Sarah actually finished in, I think, 52 weeks? 50 weeks.
But she didn't work a full-time job on top of that.
She did, or
She
did
did
it?
multiple jobs, multiple
Okay.
side jobs.
Yeah.
She'll come by and talk to this
She
class.
will, yeah. She'll totally give you your story, give you her story. But I mean, that's what I really want to emphasize. Don't compare yourself to other people or their progress. Trust me, you'll have a million court reporters come up here and they'll talk to you. And, you know, my friend Cindy, who's not here, she also finished in like
a year and a half?
Yeah, in a very short amount of time. And some of my friends, it took them a little bit longer than that. And so we all finish at our own pace. And I guess I'll finish with telling you something inspiring.
Yes.
So after I finished, after I became certified, I was asked to speak here in San Antonio. So San Antonio has always been very dear to me because this is the first place that I've ever spoke at a convention. And so while I was here, I met this girl, this court reporter, and she had been a reporter for, I think, a year and a half, maybe 2 years at that time. And I actually met her in the pool when we were all hanging out, because that's what you do sometimes at conventions. You get to hang out in the pool and have fun sometimes. And so I met this girl, and I didn't know until staying up with her really late that night, and she told me her story. And I don't know if y'all have ever heard about her. I don't know if Mary has ever told y'all about her, but this is why you should never give up. This girl who went on to become one of my very best friends, she told me that night, I noticed a scar on her chest, right? And I didn't want to ask because you don't ask. And she had told me that she had a heart and double lung transplant. And at 25 years old at the time, I think she was 25 at the time, I just thought, wow. And she told me her story. So if I'm remembering it correctly, she was in school and she qualified to take the state exam, and you only have a certain amount of time that your proficiency will allow you to take that exam. So I don't know what it's equivalent to in months, but I know it's 4 exams. So you have to imagine that as someone who is she was in school, she had qualified, and then her lungs just started failing and she couldn't breathe. And so she went to St. Luke's, and they put her on the transplant list, and she had to stay there for the next 6 months. And during that time, her proficiency lapsed, and there were no exceptions to that. She had to re-qualify to take the state test. And you can imagine that after going through a major surgery like that, it could be extremely difficult to bounce back physically, energy-wise, everything. So I want y'all to think about that on days that, you know, you think that are hard and stuff like that, that like, if she can do it, I can do it too. And she did, and she more than did, because she went on and she passed her CSR the first time after qualifying, and she also passed her national RPR, which is equivalent to your state test, but on a national level. And she did that while struggling health-wise. And I'll tell you that there were so many adversities that she faced along the way while going through school, while qualifying. But one thing, I'll tell you that she has passed away since then, 2 years ago at 27, and I was with her at one of the last conventions, and she was very sick when she was there with us, and she sat there and she took one of the tests. They were giving an online, or not online, but a live dictation. And she, despite everything that was going on with her running fever while we were there and everything, she still gave it her best shot. And so maybe you're not struggling health-wise and things like that like she was, but I always want y'all to think about that and think about just the different things that you are facing, and I faced some different things as well. I got my finger caught in the garage door really bad, and like I was gonna have to have stitches, and I passed one of my last tests on the day that I sliced my finger open. You know why? Because I wasn't thinking about passing that test. I was thinking about how bad my finger hurt, right? right? So never let your circumstances hold you back from the things that you can accomplish. There's always going to be all kinds of outside factors, financially, kids, family, health, all these things that are going to come up. But when you come to class, I want you to, and I was 21 when I was in school, so I couldn't be thinking about when I was going to meet my friends for margaritas after class. I had to be thinking about, you know what, I'm going to pass this test and I can't meet my friends because I'm going to have to type it up after we're done. And so always be thinking positive and thinking that you can do this, and always believe in yourself and never give up on yourself. There are going to be hard days, there are going to be hard times, but the sun always comes up in the morning, even if you can't see it through this nice San Antonio fog that we've had so often lately. It's always there, and you have so many of us that are in your corner, that are going to be in your corner, and you're at the very beginning. And you know, maybe you're not enrolled in theory yet, but I encourage you to get enrolled in theory and to team up with one of us, because we would love to help you. I'd love to have you guys at my house, and when you get in higher speeds, I can dictate to you just like we are kind of doing now, and really push you to higher speeds. But it's going to start with you and your mindset and what you think that you are capable of. And if you always think that you're capable of something, then you always have a way to get there. But if you never think you're capable of anything, then you're going to have a really hard time. So thank you guys for having me, and look me up on Facebook or Instagram or whatever my name is.
Yeah, you better write your name. Let's thank Kinsey for coming here as our guest speaker. For her 15, 20 minutes, you got to hear from her. So, Kinsey, thank you so much for coming here. And just write her name down. Y'all take a picture of that. It's. I'm going to try to move. We're going to go back to our machines. And like Kinsey, she's an open book. So y'all, you know, she's here in San Antonio. Just remember that. Okay, especially if you're going to be going to court reporting school. You're going to need a motivator, and she is the person. So I'm going to move on. Kinsey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
I am leaving. It's my mom's 50th birthday. So we are going to the Golden Nugget in Louisiana to watch Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Thank you. I'm so sorry we kept you late.
Oh, no, we're going tomorrow.
Okay, good.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Be safe, Kinsey. B-E-N-O-I-T. Benoit. B-E-N-O-I-T is how you spell it. Okay? It's a little different, but remember, as car reporters, you write what you hear. And y'all have not learned the noir sound yet, okay? You're not going to learn it in this class, but you would write it just as it's Benoit. And it's a different, it's not the long O like we've learned, okay? So it's a little different. The O-I that you see there is pronounced differently. Okay, so we're going to move on. That was a little bit longer than I thought. I put us a little bit behind in our lessons, and I was so excited we were just moving along. But that's okay. You need to hear from some people that are out there so you can hear their stories, so you know, hey, you know, I can relate to this kind of person. And so you have these guest speakers like in the back of your head when you do go to court reporting school, for those of you that are going to move on. So we were back on our words, and I'm just going to, we know the difference in these sounds like do, from, love, prove. See that O sound? To, who, whom, work, world, dove, glove, move, sun, ton, word, worse, one. So that O can be that O sounds very differently as those words prove to you. We have something called kind of like Benoit. See how her name is O-I-T, B-E-N-O-I-T. Well, right now we're going to learn that O-I sound, okay? But the way that's kind of French. Her name is. And you're going to have people from all over the world testifying, whether you're in a deposition or say you're a captioner. I really want to bring a captioner here. They're doing the rodeo now. But I do want y'all to see what a captioner is. I think I told y'all on the first day of class, captioners are those that take everything that you see on TV. Anything that scrolls on your TV is done by court reporters that work out of their houses, okay? So just so you know that, right now the court reporters are physically at the rodeo captioning the rodeo. I am going to try to bring one of them here so you can hear a captioner, just to give you an idea of what you can do. But let's practice these diphthongs. And what that is you kind of see here, see the O has so many different sounds, okay? Even though her name is spelled with the O-I, this is like oi, an oi sound, like say boy, okay? Like boy, you hear that oi? And so that's what the O-I sound is. We learned that this was an O just a while ago, the long O sound. Well, this is a oo. Okay, an oo. Like if you put a B in front of it, it's boo. If you put an M in front of it, it would be moo. Okay, so even though it has an O sound, together they make an oo sound. Okay, so O is just one of those vowels that it's going to have a lot of different sounds. Okay, that's why they showed you those words. So let's practice these. I'm going to just dictate this. I'm going to go kind of quickly because these are just sounds. They're not words. And so just try to keep up with me. And you know, you can pick up your screen. You know those screens move so you can see it? Okay. Whatever's comfortable. You can see your screen. Okay. So here we go. Ah, 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 home position. Oi, 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 home position. O, long O. O, O, home position. Ooh, 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 home position. Ah, 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 home position. Oi, 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 home position. O, 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 home position. Ooh, 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 home position.
The O-I is the O-E-U, right?
How is that there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yes, okay, it is, okay? They kind of, you know, they're going to start trying not to do that, you know. They're going to, like, kind of like the B,
Yeah.
okay? That's what they want you to recognize it. They don't want you to see it as an EU anymore, okay? And I didn't even realize they changed it then. Yes?
You heard you like the word wow.
Oh, we haven't learned that sound.
Yeah, but we haven't learned W yet. Is that an O sound?
Oh, well, the reason we haven't learned W is because we're on N. So, we're,
But like the ow sound with
yeah,
the O,
okay.
right?
There, and the ow sound, even though we haven't studied it yet, is O and U.
Oh, okay.
Okay, like kind of like ouch. You know how ouch is spelled? O-U-C-H. Okay, so wow is going to be, when we learn W, it's going to be W-O-U. Wow.
Okay.
So yeah, you're exactly right, and that's good that you noticed that, because yeah, that's an O word.
Okay.
So see, but I don't know why they didn't put it here, but they didn't.
Thank you.
And I'm glad y'all pointed that out about the I. Yeah, okay, so everybody has to see this as OEU. OEU. EU is never EU from now until you get out of this class, you go to theory, you will never see EU as anything but an I. Because remember, we have 5 vowels, right? So you're just going to have to see the EU as I, because we only have 5 vowels. So from now on, I don't even think they're going to, well, they put it here, but this is, I'm teaching out of the old book. They got a new book out. And so try to look at things as I from now on. And you know how I told you, pencil it in and put I. So you can kind of see that's an I from now, okay? So let's do one more line. Let's just do that bottom row there. Ready? Ah, 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 home position. Oi, 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 home position. O, 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 home position. Ooh, 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 home position. Okay, but since you mentioned, if we were to take, remember I told you it was O-U, ow, like ouch. So if you take that out, what do you think that word would be there?
Vowel.
That's exactly right, bow. Okay? Because right now, with the long, that's a long I, it's boil.
So
Okay? And if it had been bowl, it would be this way. So just taking this one example of your vowels, because remember, you have initial consonants, which is the B, that is a B, and you have your ending consonants. So to read this word, right as it reads, it's boil, okay? But if you take that out, it's bow, okay? If you go this way, it's bow. It's a long O sound, right? Okay? And if you take that out, it's ball. Okay? Okay, so your vowels, like all English words, are huge. Makes a difference in what you're writing. Okay? So let's write these. Let's write these words. If you see these, look at this. It's the oi. See right there? O-I. Okay? So oil. You put a K in front of it, coil. You put a B in front of it, boil. Okay? O-I-L by itself is just like in English, oil. Okay? Does everybody get that? Let's write that. Boil, B-O, oh, no, let me just do it differently. Let me put B-O-I-L, boil. Boil. I'm saying the oi sound. Let's go to the next one. K-O-I-L, coil. Coil. Oi-L, oil. Oil. J-O-I-N, join. Join. Okay? B, oi, oi. Boy. K, oi, N, coin. Coin. F, oi, L, foil. Foil. L, oi, N, loin. Loin. Now remember the word oil, because that's the way it's spelled in English, O-I-L, okay? Well, say you take that out, the oil part out, and you have a long O. What does that word become now? Okay, say you have a long O sound. Loan. Okay, L-O, long O, N, loan. But because you put the oil sound on there, it becomes loin. So can y'all kind of see that? Okay, say you did that with boy. Okay, right now you hear that oi, O-I sound. Okay, take that oi out and what do you have? Bow. Okay, just bow, long O, okay? But it changes the word when you put that I and you have the oi sound. Can y'all kind of see it now? Okay, what if you had instead of a K, you had a D in front of it, what would it be? A D. Right now it's coil, but say you put TK. Say your finger's messed up and you put the T and the K and it becomes a D, then what is it? Doyle. Okay? Because you would put a D here, Doyle, like the name Doyle, James Doyle. Okay? So that's how words are put together. And that's why the sounds of what it sounds like, that's what you have to learn. Okay, are there any questions? This is what you're going to practice on. Okay, this is what you need to practice on. All these different sounds. Now let's do the oo. Okay? Now remember, the oo is the AO together. Okay? You're just learning this today. It's like you can't get it today. You're going to have to practice this. Okay? So when you see the AO by itself, now that's a different sound. It's oo. Okay? So let's write these words. Okay? Now look what they did here. All they did was put a, what is that letter? M. So it's boom. But say we put an N. Say we put PB. It would be, say it's an N. Say if we put here a PB and it becomes an N, it ends in N, the word would be boom. Boom. Okay? But right now with the M, it's boom. You hear the M. Okay? Let's see. That word is had. Okay? Together it's hood. Okay? So that's how words are done, just by the sounds. Initial consonant, whatever I say, and that's why it's good when you practice. You not just practice looking at a book, okay? Tape everything, tape it on your, record it on your phone, play it back. Because what you want to do is when I say the word, you don't want to have to look at it. You want to be able to write it, okay? It's called dictation. And so I'm saying, listen to the word, Boo. Just listen to it. How are you going to write it on your machine? Boo. Just like it sounds. You learned the B, now you're learning the oo sound. Okay? So, your lessons you can record. When I was in, no, you're not in theory school, you're just learning the alphabet. But when you go to theory school, I recorded every single lesson there was. Every single one. Because I learned to listen. Okay? And I did the little brackets that I was telling y'all. I thought, oh, that's a G. Because I needed to be able to see it. Okay? So let's write this column. Let's write, let's just go down. Let's go down this way. No, let's go across. Yeah, maybe that's how they did it. Let's go across. Okay, ready? First word. B, oo, boo. Boo. Now you put a K behind it. B, oo, K, book. Book. Okay? Put an M. B, oo, M, boom. Boom. B, L, oo, D, blood. Blood. Now, one thing I didn't tell you is that AO can also sound like a U, like a short U, like flood. See that? Flood. It's not such a ooh. It has, can you kind of hear the difference in sound? Like fluid. It's not fluid, it's flood. Okay? But that's how you do it. That's how you spell it. Okay? Let's go over here. F, oo, D, food. Food, okay? F, there's your F. L, oo, D, flood. Flood. H, oo, D, hood. Hood. This is a G. G, oo, goo. Goo. Here's a G. G, oo, D, good. Good. L, oo, K, look. Look. L, oo, M, loom. Loom. M, oo, D, mood. Mood. When you practice, do this 10 times. Each word that I'm going over, do it 10 times and write it perfectly before you move on to the next word, okay? Eventually, when you're done practicing, you just want to write them once. Just write them and see how you do. If you dictate them to yourself on the phone, okay, dictate them, record them, play them back. What you want to do is try to write that. After you practiced it 10 times each word, you want to be able to write it by just hearing it. Okay? Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So that's what you want to practice. The difference, O has a lot of different sounds. It's not like the A or the E. Now we also have the number 0. Okay? This looks like an O, but it's not really an O. Okay? You're going to use, to write the number 0, remember your numbers, you hit the number bar. Okay? So you're going to use your left thumb, you press the 0, and your left middle finger, okay, should stretch up to that number bar. Try hitting that right now. Okay? Stretch up to the number bar. When you hit that, you should see on your displays or your notes, you should see a 0 coming up. It's not an O, it's a 0. It is the number 0. Okay? So let's write 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, because that's what we're fixing to do. Ready? 0, 0, 0. Home position. 0, 0, 0. Home position. 0, 0, 0. Home position. Look at your keyboard. This is something new. 0, 0, 0. Home position. 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 0, 0, 0, home position. 0, 0, 0, home position. How'd y'all do? Now remember, when you learn these, you want to look at your keyboard. Anytime you're learning something new, look at your keyboard. Make sure you write it quickly. I might be saying it kind of slow, but write it quickly. Okay? Rest your fingers on home position. That's where you want to be. Okay. Now, don't listen to what Kenzie said about these. We have tricks of the trade that you will learn in theory class. But while you're just learning numbers, everything here, we have to go by the book. And so, we're going to write 2-digit numbers, okay? Now, you can see how 40 is a one-stroke number, 50 is one stroke, but when you go backwards, 60, it's going to be 2 strokes. You're going to hit 6 and then go back for the 0, okay? 80, you're going to go 8 and then come back with the 0. So, if you write those numbers, you're going to hit 40. You can hit 40 all in one stroke, the 4 and the 0, okay? Are there any questions? Okay, so when you see a slash mark like that, it's going to be 2 strokes. Okay. Here we go. After you write each number, make sure you go back to your home position. Okay, ready? 40, home position. 50, home position. 60, home position. 80, home position. 50, home position. 40, home position. 60, home position. 80, home position. 50, home position. 40, home position. 60, home position. 80, home position. 50, home position. 48, home position. 58, home position. 86, home position. 80, home position. 50, home position. 68, home position. 88, home position. 85, home position. 58, home position. 86, home position. 68, home position. 84, home position. 45, home position. 44, home position. 80, home position. 40, home position. 55, home position. 86, home position. 84, home position. 65, home position. 46, home position. 40, home position. 48, home position. 65, home position. 86, home position. 85, home position. How'd y'all do? When you go to Court 40 school and you go to theory, numbers gave me, I always hesitated on my numbers, and so what I would do is like a warm-up exercise, because you can't do this now because you haven't learned all your numbers. I would just go 1 through 100. I'd go on my machine 1 through 100, you know, when I first got to class, because numbers were more difficult. Everybody's going to have different hang-ups, like Kenzie said, and they were more difficult for me, so I would just write my numbers 1 through 100. Okay, that's how I would just start out my day, and I'd write 1 through 100, so that they became easier and easier and easier for me. That's just something that you can do, the ones that we have learned, and you can do that as a little warm-up practice for yourself. Okay. Now let's do a little review. That's probably all we're going to have time for today. We're going to have to play catch-up. I was going to have Sarah talk to you, but I might wait another week on that, because we're going to have to play catch-up. Okay? So let's review what we learned today. Okay, remember we learned the N. Who knows what that is, the N? What are the letters?
TPH.
Right, exactly, TPH. Okay, perfect. Okay, So, as you can see, just like the I, they're not putting TPH in there, okay? Well, they kind of do, though. It's just like, hello, I just now saw it. There it is, okay? So, yeah.
I wasn't cheating, I promise.
Okay. I believe you, Nora. Okay, here we go. Let's do, and this is left hand, okay? How do I know it's the left hand? Because it has this little dash here. Okay, so this is left hand. Let's review. Here we go. Ready? Left hand in. Ready? In, home position. 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 Okay, let's do. I know I'm moving fast. I've got 10 minutes. Okay. Practice, 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 okay, when you get home. Okay? We're going to do the right hand PB. Ready? In, home position. 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 Okay, let's see the short O, like in hot. Ready? Let's read your thumb. Home position. 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 Let's do the long O. Ready? O, home position. 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 Let's do the number 0. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Hit them at the same time. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, how'd y'all do? You look like you're doing pretty good. Okay. Okay, I'm on page 80. Let's do some words. Okay. Y'all will be happy to know that all of these lessons have been dictated and you're going to be able to have access to them online. You won't have someone like me dictating them to you. And that's going to be good practice for y'all. Okay, here we go. Ready? N, N. Non. Non. N, O, M. Gnome. Gnome. And you notice they took away the TPH now, okay? And the PL over there. Okay? N, I, N, nin. Nin. F, A, N, fan. Fan. So it's making you think, well, what is the F and what is the N? F is TP. N is PB. Okay, so they're making you think. How do you write this? Okay. Let's go to the next one. In, a, na. Na. M, I, N, PB. Min. Min. M, O, N, moan. Moan. L, A, M, lamb. Lamb. K, A, J, cadge. Cadge. G, R, J, gauge. Gauge. These aren't even words, they're just sounds, okay? H, O, ho. Ho. G, O, L, go. Go, okay? G, E, N, Gene. Gene. D, long I, M, dime. Dime. K, long I, chi. Chi. B, O, N, bone. Bone. H, R, E, hob. Hob. N, R, D, nod. Nod. H, A, F, half. Half. L, A, G, lag. Lag. O, E is O. O. J, A, G, jag. Jag. M, A, K, make. Make. J, A, L, gel. Gel. G, A, N, Jen. Jen. They threw this in there to kind of make you think. You know, they're not helping you, okay? They're not helping you with how do you write that letter G, okay? So they're going to start doing that. And so they want you to start seeing those combination of little letters as a specific letter, okay? So that's what you need to practice. I'm just going to go through these numbers. Let's see, 81. I think that's my last page here. Numbers very quickly. You know what? I'm going to skip the numbers. I'm going to just go to the words. I'm going to be at the bottom of page 81. These numbers, do those at home, okay? It tells you to write all those numbers and then put your home position after that, okay? So we are going to learn, we're going to write these words, okay? You've already written some of them today. It's just kind of like, really kind of like a review, okay? But you're going to have to figure out, well, what is the M on the right-hand side, okay? If you're having a hard time doing that, that's what you need to practice. Put them on flashcards, okay? Put P-O in there and put M. Whatever you need to do to remind you this is what it is. Okay, here we go. A-I-M, aim. Aim. B-I-N, bend. Bend. And you change the vowel. B-A-N, ban. Ban. B-O-N, bone. Bone. K-O-N, cone. Cone. K-A-N, can. Can. K-A-J, cage. Cage. D-A-N, den. Den. D, short I, N, den. Den. D, long I, N, dime. Dime. F-A-N, fan. fan. F-A-N, fin. Fin. F, long O, and phone. Phone. G-O-N, gone. Gone. G-O-D, good. Good. H-E-K, heck. Heck. H-E-M, hem. Hem. H-E-N, hen. It's just one letter difference. Hen. H-O-G, hog. Hog. J-E-N, Jen. Jen. K-E-N, Ken. Ken. L, long O, N, lone. Lone. L, oi, N, loin. Loin. M-A-N, man. Man. M-A-N, men. Men. M-E-L, meal. Meal. N-E-K, Nick. Nick. N-A-G, nag. Nag. N-E-L, Neil. Neil. N-O-D, nod. Nod. Okay, if we had a long O in there, it'd be node. Okay, now I only dictated that to you twice. That's not even 10% of what you're supposed to do, okay? You're supposed to do it at least 10 times, okay? So when you go home and you practice, you do this at least 10 times per word, okay? Just like I told you earlier, okay? So dictate those words, put them on flashcards, and read the steno first. Read the steno first, because if you can't see that G as those 4 letters, you can't write it as a G. Okay, are there any questions? Oh, okay, well, time is up and class is over. And, so I really congratulate y'all, like I said, for coming to class. It makes a huge difference when you do come to class. It'll make a difference in your career. You can always reach me if you have a question on anything. Now I want to talk to you. Or Kinsey, okay? There's groups out there that you can, you want to know more about the career, you know, go online, okay?